There are bridges, bridges in the sky, they're shining. They are stone and steel and wood and wire, they change to things. They are languages and letters, they are poetry and all. They are love and understanding, and they're clever than they are languages and letters, they are poetry and all. They are love and understanding, and they're better than there are canyons, there are canyons, they are yawning in the night. They are rank and bitter anger, they are all the boy can find. They are fear and blind suspicion, they are apathy and pride. They are dark and soul foreboding, and they're so very wide. They are fear and blind suspicion, they are apathy and pride. They are dark and soul foreboding, and they're so very let us build a bridge of music, let us cross with a song. Let us span another canyon, let us ride. Oh, if someone should ask us where we come and bow today, we will tell them building bridges and we are done our way. Oh, if someone should ask us where we come and bow today, we will tell them building bridges and we are done our way. We will tell them building bridges.
Well, here we are building bridges. This is Bridges Programming. This is World Call Wednesday, World Call In. We're going to eventually get this thing to work so you can call in. We get a lot of emails, and we're just sort of practicing and trying to get a good thought across to everybody who is.
Things take longer to practice when you're trying to live the HRM, right?
Yeah, we are doing the best we can with what we have. This is Bridges Programming. It's sponsored by the Human Renewable Energy Measure. And I'm going to just change screens now. You're looking at
Oh,
now.
wait, that's so cool. The bird is on
Okay,
feeder right now.
There's a bird feeder. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about life and what's life worth and what's a human worth. And we're going to try to figure that out or try to talk about it. Maybe we can get somewhere with the HRM, the Human Renewable Energy Measurement or Measure. And then we also sponsor this by helping out Renew the Earth. Any money we take in, we donate to Renew the Earth as much as we can afford to do. And then we also do Bridges Programming, which you guys can join us into and get your own programming if you choose for a reasonable price to get your word out or your opinion out, because we're all entitled to our own ridiculous opinions. And as long as it's a humanitarian thought, we will give you a program. Okay, we are here, and with me is Dennis Carius on the line. Hello, Dennis.
Hey. Hello, Jeff. Thank you for having me on with you and Susan.
And next to me is Susan Coleman.
Hello.
And she figured out what we're going to do today. And I'm Jeff Beller, and here we are in our studio in Westerlo, New York, which is a little teeny town in the hamlet of Westerlo, New York. So that's where we are. And I'm not too concerned about people shooting us at all, so I will bring that out. The question we have today is, what is a human being? Well, let me tell you a little story what happened about a week ago. I went to town to go to do some banking, and I might have even told you this the last program we did, but all of a sudden, the FedEx or UPS or one of those trucks stopped, and the young guy got out of the truck, and I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, a raccoon just crossed the road, and the baby fell out of the raccoon." So I said, "Wow!" So he I helped him stop traffic so nobody got hurt. And he got a piece of cloth and a box and pushed the baby coon up on that. It was alive, but he needed some help because it was just born. And we took him into the shade where the mother would find him on the other side of the road where she was, or we think she was. And that was sort of a funny experience. And then the fellow was helping me get some sticks out of the woods and clean up the woods a little bit. And lo and behold, look at this, there's a newborn fawn. Just dropped the fawn. And the mother took off because she saw people there. So we left the fawn alone, but it was amazing to see the newborn fawn. And then we had some eggs that we have, chickens here that we got from a friend of ours. And she we actually rent the chickens from her. She has a big farm. So the first 7 eggs that we got from these chickens, Susan put them in an incubator. And that same day, the chicks were born, which I thought was really amazing.
It's almost like they were communicating all with each other and all getting
like all in one day
born
we
the
had
same
all.
day.
And what I found what the thrust of this program was, there's a certain feeling people get, or at least I think humans get, no matter how not religious they are or religious, on when something is born, be it a baby or a fawn or an animal,
That's true.
there's a certain feeling we all get.
Potential of something just starting, right?
A newborn,
Yeah.
a new blossom.
There's infinite potential there.
Like I eat chicken. I mean, I'm not. When I eat meat,
That potential's over with.
you know. But the thing is, when a newborn happens, it's a different thing. So the question then is, we decided to ask a simple question: what is life worth?
Oh, well,
How
we
much-
asked actually, what is a human worth?
What is a human
In
life
our
worth?
question for the program.
And I'm
And
looking
of course
at
that can be
what is
extended.
all life worth? In
Right.
other words, if we drop a bomb on Hiroshima, we have killed, as our president said recently, we killed a lot of men, women, and children. A lot of collateral damage is our
Military
military
term
term for it. That doesn't sound so bad as
for it.
killing lots of.
It sounds very inhumane.
We killed a lot of people, including your kid and your mother and your father, for no reason. I'm going to call that collateral damage. And the reason we did this was not really to give you freedom, because it brought you death. What it was there for was we wanted to take your natural resources. We want to make sure we control the world's
Or
natural
power
resources.
over your country or whatever.
So, yeah, well, power over your country is control your natural resources. Or so you
Or
may not try
your
to take
population.
our natural resources. So that's the point of all the killing.
And population is natural resources.
Right, humans
are energy,
renewable energy.
and they are their potential for in the economic system for value is usually determined by what kind of work they can do in exchange for making profit for whatever company they're working for.
Or whatever. But
Yeah,
it
or
doesn't
whatever,
matter,
if they have their own business.
It doesn't
right?
matter. It matters that you can take advantage and make a profit. And that's how we do gross domestic profit, or gross
So when we
national
talk
profit.
about resources, we have to include human resources, because our big corporations go to other countries to get
To get cheap labor, which is.
This is a
naturally-
resource that they are looking for.
And that's one of the reasons why we go to war. And that's been going on. Now, remember we talked about collateral damage, which is just a nicety word for killing people, killing men, women, and children, collateral damage, who have nothing to do with fighting the war. And the war is totally insanity.
And you notice that
Let me
term
just finish.
doesn't have any reference to people.
People.
The word is collateral.
Well,
Now, what does that mean?
Well, the thing is, this is the psychological ramifications of all these things. Like before, way back when kings were first created, and we first acknowledged the fact that we're going to have kings in our society. I don't know who thought that great idea up, but we then made kingdoms, and then the kingdoms would fight. So they realized that, wait a second, let's call ourselves the United Kingdom. Well, that was a pretty strong word, because people would get wise up and say, wait, what is this United Kingdom? Well, the United Kingdom back then wasn't smart enough to realize that the people were going to wise up. So they quickly changed the name to Great Britain, which is, they still pump their chest out. Well, I'm Great Britain, because we have the United Kingdom and we can kill everybody. And then they said, well, you better tone it down a little more. So they changed their name to England. And the world now calls, well, England. Well, and they're still controlling the world economy, which is controlling the people, which is controlling the wars.
I don't know how much they can control the world economy anymore, because the economy has definitely become global.
No, but the thing is,
And,
it's still
and
a small group
it's
of
the
people.
same mechanism
Right.
operating in
It's
the
still
economy.
Great Britain.
But I don't think any one nation can.
No, but it's part, but there's a small group in Great Britain.
That's my.
No, there's a small group in Great Britain, and that's why we use Greenwich Mean Time, and that's why you have a war like right now. It looks to me, and this is my opinion now. This is not gospel, but it looks to me as though Russia is cooperating with the very wealthy, and they want to get their own fuel in, their own oil, and
They want to have their own capitalism
create their own economy.
Right.
So there's a little
They understand,
war going on.
They understand capitalism very well, and they're practicing
You don't
it.
have to be an RPI graduate to understand capitalism.
And they've got a great and close by market in Europe for their oil and gas, and it's definitely making their economy wealthier, and they want very much to continue that, I'm sure.
So let's get to.
But today we heard on the news.
Before you do, I want to get to the point that we're giving you the problems now, but we're going to give you solutions before the program's over. We will give you solutions on what you could do to change the way the world is behaving, to make a functional society that helps humanity, not a functional society that helps just the wealthy.
Well, it also involves a change in the way you're thinking about economics and about the economy you participate in.
We're going to do that.
And the way you've been trained to think about the economy that you participate in. It's going to take, a real change of. You actually have to analyze what it's doing for your life and not for your life, and for your family.
Right. Well, everybody I know is very much concerned about how, when you go out, like if you go to look for buying a home, you look for the best price you can get it for the house you want. That's part of life.
That's part of
our training. You go to buy a car, you always want to dicker for the best price. You go to buy food, you're always looking for bargains. I mean, that's
the way the economy has trained us.
Or you're saying, well.
So you're not necessarily getting the best technology.
Or you say, I decide I want to buy healthy stuff. So you're schooled to believe that. Well, if you eat healthier, you'll live longer. Well,
and you have to pay more.
And it's not necessarily the case. It's just the way the thinking process is designed.
Well, how it's evolved.
And it may be true. But it may not be true. Maybe you've been schooled to say, well, don't eat butter, eat margarine. Well, for 10 years, people would buy lots of margarine, around the world. And then all of a sudden, they say, whoa, that margarine crap is bad for you. Go back to butter.
And now we're being said, don't eat anything with wheat in it. Don't eat bread.
Don't eat gluten.
When for almost 1 million years, our species survived because of bread and potatoes and rice, these staples that brought us to the point we're at.
So the way the economic system is working is it is controlling the way you live and the way you think.
And what you buy.
Because it's there for a profit.
Right.
They have
a little suspect.
They have the Omega
think of it
group
that
around
way.
here. And they're a nice group. They have a lot of Zen stuff and New Age stuff. But that's all a learned process. You can live a moderately happy life without going to spending a fortune. And I mean, if you want to do yoga, go online, learn. But why would you spend your life working? And hopefully you're working for what you want. It's not just handed to you. Because you should work at least an hour a day or a day a week for all your basic needs. That's the HRAM. The Human Renewable Energy Measure says that all of us live about 80 years of age, more or less. We all need 1 million energy units of food or calories of food from the sun, 1 million energy units from the sun from water, from distillation, and we all need shelter. And the HRM, and of course education. And the education is as much as you can do, because Every human being has different wants.
And different abilities to
And
learn.
well, abilities for what they want. Some people may have the ability to be a doctor, but they like digging ditches. They like playing music. They may have great abilities, but they don't, they choose as a human individual. That's what makes us human, all wants. And
Well, I actually wanted to address that too.
Go ahead.
The other things that make us human, because our question today is, what is a human worth? And I said a few things in the summary, and I brought up the question, what does worth mean? Should we equate human worth with money? What is money worth? Is human value something very different from money value?
let's ask Dennis that question.
Now, when you ask that, I just want to add a little
Okay.
to this. Yes, human value is of something very different, because you have to examine what is it that what is it to be human, and what is it that we do that may not be totally unique, as curiosity is something that you could see in other animals other than us. But we are curious, we're inventive, we can do a lot with our hands that other because of our opposable thumb and things like that, other living creatures are not able to do. They're not able to build things like we can. So we're builders, and we're inventive, and we have compassion. But that's not unique either in the animal world, because you see compassion in animals too, toward each other, and concern. If a young animal is in distress, the mother hen will come running, and when the chick calls. So we have maybe just that we're builders. That is particularly unique about being human.
We measure things.
Right.
How far is it? How much do we need? What distance, amount, weight,
Yeah.
volume?
All these
They're
things
all
that we
things that
created
we
in order
measure.
to
We
continue
measure
to be
them, right?
very, very good inventors and builders. And that, of course, extends to how we perceive the world around us, the physical world around us. And when we think about the physical world, we think about what we can perceive with our five senses. And Dennis, do you remember what our five senses are? Can you help me list them? Yes.
Can you spell sense?
SENSE. The five senses that we use to perceive
I'll
the
give you a hint.
physical
I'll
world.
give you a hint. Feeling is one of them.
No.
No, it's not.
Touch would be.
Touch,
Yeah,
which I'm
touch.
talking about.
Right.
Wow, I can't sense that.
And the sight, your sight is one of them. Hearing, and your smelling things.
Taste.
And taste, right.
So those are your five senses that we know of. There's probably extra.
Some people think there's extrasensory things.
Extrasensory perception, but we're not sure of that. We can't really prove that.
If you're understanding or perceiving something with one of those senses that we have defined as our five senses as a human, then you are perceiving something that's physical, that actually exists, unless you're hallucinating, of course. But there are always exceptions to things like this.
If you see a flying spaceship.
Or if there are situations where the mind tricks us. But if your mind is, and there would be people that would say that's not a trick, but that's real reality. But basically, what most of us sense is with our five senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, taste. And those are physical things that we're then perceiving through that. So, that we're trying to kind of confine what we are as humans, what we've determined through our communication. Also, we have an excellent way of communicating, very intricate. We're not the only communicators in the animal world. Birds, all mammals have ways of communicating. Even insects, and we feel now that plants have their own chemical ways of communicating with each other. So we're not the only communicators, but we've definitely refined our communication to a very, well, we think we're great at it, you know. And we have all these inventions and things we've built to make it even more effective, supposedly. But right now, even with the internet and all the ways that we can communicate with excellent cell service and phones and stuff, we haven't necessarily improved the things that are slowly destroying our habitat, our resources that can't be replaced, our animal life, our diversity. We are not addressing that effectively yet, and what we feel on this program is retarding that is the way that we don't value human life within our economic system. We don't make that the highest priority, because if that's valued, then all life on this planet by extension will be valued. It isn't just a matter of making sure that we're the only species on the planet. That's not what we're recommending, nor do we feel that would be the result of honoring humans within our own invented economic system. So what we're saying is we should not equate human life with money and what money can buy. I think Jeff wanted to ask a question when he gets a chance to speak again. And you, Dennis, you and Jeff were talking about this, that there's a difference between how a human thinks and behaves. Sometimes it's not all the time, but some people, once they have a certain amount of wealth, will behave in a manner that an exceptional amount of wealth that is different from most of the rest of us who are don't have a heck of a lot of safety net, but maybe some or none. And as far as money, and that's what it's called, is for people who don't have great deals of money, they don't even they think of safety nets of money. But people who have a great deal of money, they don't even think in those terms, because they can never ever spend what they've got in their lifetime. So you're talking about a whole different mindset about possibly a wealthy person to a not so wealthy person.
I want to clarify what I've come to a conclusion.
Right,
what
you wanted to
wealthy
speak to
person
that.
is, and I was going to bring that to Dennis earlier. Dennis, in your opinion, what makes a truly, I don't mean spiritually, I mean physical difference between someone who's got really a lot of money and somebody who does not?
I mean, physically how they behave?
Physically, what's the difference in the money? What's the difference between someone with a lot of money and somebody with no money or very little money, like you and I?
Right, a person with a lot of money is able to do a lot of things. Now, the person with very, very little money, we all agree, cannot go out there and do all of those same things. But that person can still be happy.
Well, no, we're not talking about emotion. I'm not.
No,
I
you can
specifically
withdraw from all
said.
this stuff
I said originally.
live very simply and not have to deal with it, right?
The difference is, and I'll tell you what I come to with my
People
own
go to other countries like Ecuador to do that.
ridiculous opinion is if I have a lot of money, like, did you file your income tax return, right? Did you do that yet?
We do that every year.
Yeah, but see, someone with a lot of money, they don't do that. Their accountant takes care of it. So now when you
The annoying details.
Yeah, now supposing you have to drive somewhere and there's traffic. Here's a chicken. The chicks is chirping.
Right, they're
They're
I
whistling.
hear that.
yeah.
Those are baby chicks.
I'm gonna go check and make sure they didn't drop something on their heads.
What I should do is bring the camera to show you that. I could do that. I could bring a camera to show.
Yeah, right. But go on with
Anyway,
your idea.
the
They're
point
okay.
I'm making is that if you have to drive somewhere in traffic, you would physically get in the car and do that, right, Dennis?
Yes.
But a wealthy person doesn't deal with that. He has a chauffeur. You would-
And if he has to go a long distance, he just gets on a plane, his private plane.
Right, his
or
private plane. He doesn't
plane.
deal with he doesn't
Deal
deal with
with the airport.
the airports. He doesn't.
He doesn't go
he or she
through,
doesn't. They don't worry about
security
going shopping. They have maids who shop for them.
and
They
cook for
don't,
them
and they don't, and they
clean
don't
for
worry
them.
about clipping coupons.
And they don't even have
Well, they
to,
don't worry about getting to an early, all-you-can-eat buffet early. They don't do that. They don't get early bird specials in Florida. They walk into the most crowded
They
restaurant,
don't go to
and
the
they have the
fast food place and look at the dollar
they have a
menu.
special table waiting for
Like
them.
we do.
Wealthy people don't deal with the mundane issues of life, and they create more mundane issues for the rest of the world.
Well, because they can
That's how
control the
they
laws,
control the world.
and they can
They
get into
can
government and
control
change.
the airplanes.
Right.
They can control, they take control of the
But
way
we don't
our
want to
mundane.
demonize wealthy people.
No, I'm just saying, but
this
that's
is the
what,
result of
that's
an
the results,
economics
right.
that emphasizes
So-
profit.
so when
So
you-
that's why we need to have a change of mindset
Now,
about what our economics should
now
be
we're gonna
doing
tell you
for
what you can do about
humanity.
that, right?
Right.
We're just giving you, I'm just giving you what my opinion is of someone
We
who's
don't want
very
to tell you all the
wealthy.
problems, because you already probably know them all.
Because most people don't realize, well, he's a wealthy guy. Well, he's probably not if he's paying his own taxes, or he's paying taxes
Driving his
at
own
all,
car,
or driving his own
doing his own
vehicle.
shopping.
Right, it's probably not a very wealthy guy. He's probably living better than maybe some people are, but not really that much better compared to someone who doesn't work with the mundane annoyances of
and
life.
this is a very small percentage, because that is the nature of capitalism. It goes into a very, very small, it forces
Now-
a very small of a percentage of the world population and up into a little tiny air pocket of
Wealthy people.
extreme wealth.
Now, I want to tell you another thing. Dennis, do you know when the first remote control ever became real?
No, can you tell me if you can answer to that one?
Well, do you use remote controls for anything?
Oh, yes, that gives remote control, yes.
Like for what?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that, if you're using, if you're on the TV or something and somebody calls, you can just, you can just put the TV on mute so you don't have that volume in the air. You don't have to walk up to the TV to do it.
Okay, so when do you think the first remote control came about?
That's why I said you can answer that one, Jeff.
Okay, and I think I figured it out. Again, it's my own stupid opinion. It's not I can't prove it, but if you became a king a few thousand or a pharaoh a few thousand years ago, you sat in your big armchair and you said, by the way, I want to listen to music. So you call music, and then all of a sudden, just by you thinking about it and saying it to somebody, they music, and all of a sudden the musicians came in. Food was brought in. The kings were the first people who had remote control.
Just clap their hands.
And then they would bring lighting in and fans in. They were the first
gesture
people who
comes
had
The
remote.
entertainment comes.
I want comedy. And so everybody who sits in a big armchair and has these remote controls really want to be a king, because object of labor is to gain leisure. And that's exactly
Command other people.
commanding other people is a form of remote control. So you have your person who does your taxes, if that's the rule. So you take care of that. Get on the phone and call this guy. Put my cameras in my place.
Mhm.
Get my car repaired. Get the chauffeur over here. Drive me here. Get the plane ready.
Get my yacht ready to go
That
out
is a
to
form of
the
remote
Bahamas.
control. It might not be electronic remote control, but it is renewable energy remote control. But the renewable energy you used when you were a king was human beings. If you needed to dig a ditch, you didn't get a machine in to dig the ditch. You got your slaves in. Go dig that ditch. Build that pharaoh. Build that pyramid rather. That's all a form of remote control. Now, I'm not saying it's bad or good. That's not my job
But
here.
it is a symptom of the way that our economics has
right.
been developing over, what, a couple of thousand years now, maybe 8,000 years.
So they shared they've been slowly saying, look, we'll give you a little taste of how to be a king. We will give you the remote control, Dennis, so
And you can pretend to
so
be a
you
king in your
can
house.
mute your television set when your phone rings to talk to one of your other slaves. That's exactly what we're doing. So I just want to bring that out. Now, it's about halfway through our program, and I want to tell you what you could do about it to change it to make sure all humanity has a better quality of life.
And let me just make the point that when you're going to say, with the human renewable energy measure, that what this guarantees within our economics should be our basic needs, and we're just, delineating them simply. There's, of course, more shades of this stuff, but food, shelter, education, free time, lifetime. And actually, that is in our Constitution.
It's in lots of constitutions.
The one about life, liberty, and the pursuit of life is in there. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But anyways,
it's subjective.
But life is not. We physically live and then we're dead.
Right.
But I'm just saying that these things that we're saying should be guaranteed, first of all, not before profit making. The first things that should be guaranteed within our economics, not spoken about in our constitutions and in our lobbying of the Congress and their little back and forth and whatever, are these basic needs, and they are not, by any stretch of the imagination, expensive to economics. They're not the most expensive thing. The most expensive things are our wants. We want a bigger house. We want a car. We want another car. We want
go to a baseball game.
Big screen TVs. We want to travel to on a cruise. We want these are things. These are things that are the most expensive, and that is what is being emphasized by our economics because they make the most profit. And that's what our economic systems worldwide are about now. And people say, oh, I want the best medical service. I want the best hospital. I'm going to live in an expensive area, so I'll be near the best hospital when I get older. And I want to live in the best community where they have a gate and nobody can come in there and
take my stuff. These
are all wants. These are all very subjective. But what we're talking about are the needs we have in common.
Basic needs, right?
Those needs, if they are guaranteed through the economic system, and we all work the equivalent of 1 day a week to satisfy social requirements within our environment, those needs then that exchange is sufficient for our basic needs within our economics being met. Then you can work or work for money, or you can work for curiosity,
whatever.
Or you can work for your family, raising your children, or helping aging parents, or whatever.
No, I don't see anybody.
Or reading, or whatever. This is very subjective, just like our wants are very subjective. What we would do with free time is extremely subjective.
Wants are subjective. Needs are not subjective.
Right.
And that's basic needs are
This is the mindset we're talking about.
Are measurable things, and that's where the human renewable energy measurement comes in.
We're trying to
education is open
show there's a different way
of
to look at economics, at the way that we practice economics as a human species.
So here's what you could do about this. The basic idea of the human renewable energy measure is all human beings live about 80 years of age, more or less. Every human being should have as much education as they choose to have at no cost to them.
And this could be equated to life.
That life education and formal education are both the same. If you choose you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a ditch digger, or a farmer, whatever you choose to do, there's education in each individual spot, and it's where you choose to put your mind and your education. That's what makes us human. So education is a primary driver for the HRM. The next thing is your basic food and water. That's about 2 million calories from the sun a year that gives you your basic needs met, more or less. 1 million energy units of calories of food, 1 million energy units of water from evaporation through the sun, and then of course your shelter basic needs could be a barrack, or it could be something that gives you shelter to keep you free from the elements and
But
safe.
you always have the potential to do
Now-
other things with your free time
So
that would change
that's your basic need.
if you want something.
1 hour a day or 1 day a week would give you your basic needs met, not your wants. But that gives you 6 days or 23 hours more a day to get your wants met.
different.
And that's what makes us human. Now, okay, so what? You may be right.
What would this change? What
What-
dynamic would this
what-
change? It
So
would
change the
empower
world.
every person on this planet to be more curious, more inventive, to have the desire to understand other people that are different from them, so that they're not being told to be suspicious and fearful of differences. They're going to be curious about differences. You know, there will, I feel,
Well, the thing is,
ultimately be
but
no
what-
rationale for war.
but here's what you could do about these things. What you could do about it, if you understand that all humanity has to have their basic needs met. We agree, first of all, the education has to be there for all humanity at no physical cost for their time, other than the time it takes to learn what they choose to do. Secondly, we all have to agree that all humanity for 1 hour or a day a week would have their basic food and shelter met. And that's the HREM. It's very simple. It's a measurement, and we have to base the way we do our economic system, not on gross domestic product, but on a gross national product, but on how well the BNM, basic needs met, for everyone in every part of the world are part of our planet. And we as a species must make sure that basic needs are met for a minimal amount of life output.
And this will change the
this'll
whole
change the
dynamic
whole
of how
dynamics of
people
the economic
interact with
system.
each other, how nations interact with
So
each other.
if that's what you think may be a good idea, we're not saying it's the only answer, but we think it's a start. Then what we're asking you to do, what you can do about it, use your mind. Whatever you could do to get this measurement out into all the vocabularies. This concept, use your mind, use the internet, because the internet's really a great tool.
And say, what do you think about this?
What do you think of this idea of a human renewable energy measurement? That's what the Pope is talking about, but he's not talking about as a measurement. That's what Sanders is talking about. That's what even Trump is saying in a half-assed way. Even Bernie Sanders is saying it. But they're all saying it, but they don't understand. Without a measurement, we need a measurement, because human beings, because we are builders,
And
we are people who think, and we need measurements. That's what makes us different than animals. But all life is very precious. So if I drop a bomb, like I was talking about earlier in the program, if I drop a bomb on Hiroshima, not am I only just killing collateral damage, I'm also killing all the dogs and cats and animals that live there. All the species, other species I'm wiping out. If I shoot a bomb off to test my bomb, and in the middle of the ocean, I'm killing thousands and millions of fish and wildlife. We need to respect all life, and that's the part that's important. That's why I started the program off earlier today with all the different lives we saw born within 1 day. And one bomb somewhere wipes out not just humanity, collateral damage, but damage for all of the species.
that were there.
And when I see someone say, oh, I just love animals, I don't like people. Well, when you drop a bomb, you're not just dropping a bomb on people, you're dropping a bomb on other species. When you do damage, when you clear a forest out, we have a mall that's being built, and then they tear down more forests and build another mall when the other mall is defunct, just to make money. What are you doing? You're wiping out species. You're damaging everything for making money. So the way we stop that, we must change the way we do business. And that's what the Pope is saying. So please, join us. Join us in getting this message out. Don't join us as far as giving us money or joining a club.
Joining in a concept.
Join your thinking process. Only you could do this. Only you can make this happen. You must talk to your friends and if you go at the dinner table, talk about a human renewable energy measurement. It is such an important. Anyway, that's where we are now, and that's what we're talking about. Dennis, we
probably should refer back to that there is an actual physical measurement that Dr. David Fortin created. It's on the HRM site. If you want to look at the numbers, if your mind works that way, and how he set it up and how it was created and why he created it originally, and how Jeff and I were able to then
we jumped on it. It was a great idea.
Use it to promote this concept of the human renewable energy measure, because that physical measurement existed. It's like it's a tool.
Like
it's like a tool that everybody has access maybe to all kinds of equations that mathematicians have access to, but sometimes an individual will look at an equation that was created for some other purpose and then realize that it can also be applied to another purpose. And that's what Jeff and I realized when we saw David's equation. And then when we spoke to him about it, he said, yeah, that can be applied. And so then we had a three-legged stool, essentially, of this concept,
a tripod, right?
To sit upon. And then we've tried to expand this by speaking about it
over and over
again. But
we have people writing books about it.
It isn't a concept that belongs to me and Jeff and David.
It's your concept. Yours.
It's a human imperative, and it's important for us. It's simple, and it seems like obvious, but we've lost sight of it because we did it in pre-agricultural village.
5 million years ago.
Did it? No. 8,000 years ago, we were doing this as tribes and traveling hunter-gatherers. We knew that whatever was brought into the group had to be shared equally so that everyone had an opportunity to survive. Education was shared all around, so everyone understood how to live. If the major players or the more ambitious players in the tribe died, then someone else could step up. We knew that you needed shelter because we clothing and all this, because we couldn't withstand exposure for a long time to extreme temperatures and other dangers. This was something that was like a no-brainer. It was understood. This was the way it was done, but it changed during the transition into agriculture and stationary, and people starting to create villages that were not picking up and moving anywhere else. They stayed put for generations, and laws about how people in smaller confines were being made, and we still try to, I'm sure there are anthropologists getting PhDs in this kind of study, what were the things that changed so dramatically over the last couple of 8,000 years from the beginning of agriculture to now. And it was the creation of agriculture that began our economic system too, because the wandering gatherers and hunters, they didn't meet each other that often. And if they did, they pretty much avoided each other because, you didn't want to have conflict over certain areas. So there was enough of the world, and there was a very, very small human population at that time. And they could avoid each other pretty easily, though, they did, from what some anthropologists have said, there have been fights and conflicts over areas probably that were more lush and, more forgiving.
More water,
and
better
and
soil.
animal and grains, and people could stay there longer, so they might have, had
But it also
fights over
no,
those.
but it also,
But in the long run,
no, but it was also something
They
to
didn't
do. It was also something to do with how, like the Seminole Indians,
yes,
they were able to adjust
oh yes,
to a
an
climate that
extreme
most
environment.
human beings couldn't deal with.
Oh, we certainly
And
could.
so you had a
We're
certain
talking about the Everglades.
so you had a certain thinking
Right.
process that if that group of people
There's-
were able to figure it out, be a little smarter than the person who couldn't figure it out, you had a much better,
Well, that was in the act of
right,
desperation.
in the act of desperation, but
Right.
they still were able to figure something. And the same thing held true when Hitler was wiping out Jews and Poles. Certain people figured out a way to
survive.
bypass it and survive,
Right.
and the others were wiped out. The same thing held true with Seminole Indians. They built so many forts in Florida just to get rid of Seminole Indians, and the Seminoles are still there, flourishing quite well. But they're very, very skeptical of the white man, and I understand that that's a good way. But I want to go, Dennis.
What was the point you were making by bringing that up, though?
Well, the thing is, it's not just. There were conflicts around the world.
Yeah,
But the conflicts were basically on natural. It's always been for natural
the
resources.
reason that the Seminoles were so oppressed is because we were pushing them out of their environment.
Right.
Right. As Europeans, they were being slaughtered, or they were being told to leave, and if they didn't, they were killed.
Right.
And they were told to leave to areas that were almost unable to live in because that wasn't what they were used to. And I mean, this is a
They
different
did not
history.
want to be on.
And that's after agriculture. I was talking before agriculture. That very, very,
I was just trying to bring out. I just
important
wanted to bring out
transition
that
there.
the mind, the thinking process of groups of people who've been, where there were conflicts, they figured out ways to get around it and they figured out better ways of doing things. And right now,
so you're saying
right now the dysfunctional people in this world, or the world is dysfunctional. Dennis, you would agree to that. We have a dysfunctional society. Is that right, Dennis?
That's right.
So the problem with dysfunctional society, and I can tell, Dennis, that there's no one in your area looking at us on TV, so you didn't turn on your cameras. I can see there's 12 people watching us, and there's nobody from your area. I can't say where you are, but I know which areas are watching us. So please, Dennis, next time, turn on your TV because we get credit for all that. Anyway.
Believe me, so I have to, this is very important to say that I did go on there, and I even went over to Live Now, and I'm on that screen right now, Live Now, and I don't see our show on here.
Well, there's something wrong because we're on here now, we're broadcasting. So that's what, and there's 12 other people on
and there's
here.
a bird on the bird feeder.
And there's a bird on the bird
Dennis.
feeder you're missing. But anyway, I want to get to the point that there's something you can do to help get this message out. And if you agree upon this message, that all humanity has to have their basic needs met.
If you think this makes sense, you don't
Yeah.
have to, and it is a something that you have to say, oh, that makes sense. It's like an aha type of thing.
An aha moment, right. So we need to get this message out. I think we need to. Maybe we don't need to. Maybe we.
I mean, it's hard to talk to people who are very invested in the way that we've been brought up to be invested in our economics, our way of life, our nationalism, our everything. It's very hard, and it feels, almost, like you're trying to invent a new way of communicating when you bring this kind of concept to somebody like that. Somebody brought up the same way we've all been brought up to say this is the best way, this is the best of all possible worlds. This is the best country in the world. Why don't you just leave and go somewhere else if you don't like it? We want to make it better. We think it can be better for everyone in the world, not just, who's been by
We don't
chance
want,
born
we don't want to kill people
in
anywhere else
a country
on
where,
our planet that we don't have to kill.
okay,
There's no
so
reason for
when
it.
you feel, this obstacle of being able to communicate to someone who's looking at you like you have 5 heads, when you bring something like this up, you just have to keep thinking about it, keep talking about it. They can laugh, they can tell you you're nuts, that this is not important, but it is extremely important.
We think that. We're thinking that we know there's something the matter. There's something wrong. We're saying, here's what you could do to change it. And this is not an infomercial where we're saying, call the 800 number and give us your firstborn, give us your credit card, give us your social security. No,
It's not a fundraiser.
this is
like
not a fundraiser like you
very
see
aware of.
that everyone's looking to. Where's the dough? NPRs wants money. They're chasing the money or chasing the dough all the time. We were listening to someone this morning on one of our local stations. He said, we got to raise $1 million a day.
And when they chase the dough, they have to compromise to get that.
And there's part of the system.
And this is part of the way that our economics
Being part of the
works.
system is part of the problem. To change the system, you don't need money. And I have another friend of ours who's going to be doing programming on us. We need to get funding. No, we don't need funding. You don't need, all you need is to take whatever free time you can afford to give and get online instead of watching TV.
Actually, your free time is more valuable than money.
Any money. Instead of watching TV and a stupid program on television and watching the commercials, just use that free time to go online or to do something, to talk to your neighbors about how do we change the system with the HRM.
5 minutes,
5 minutes a day is better than
you encounter
nothing.
a stranger and somehow you start talking, or somebody that you know well, what about this? I mean, what if we could do this? What if we could do this in our economic system?
It's interesting. They say whatever you could afford, and they're trying to get money from you.
So we're asking you whatever free
you could
time
afford
you
in
can
free
afford.
time, whatever you could do to get the message about a human
Because
renewable energy measure out. Please don't hesitate to do
It's
that.
like saying donate 5 minutes of your day. Donate 1 minute of
Whatever
your
you
day.
could afford.
What can you afford?
It's like
Maybe you can afford an hour's conversation with
if you
somebody,
believe in
even though you disagree the whole time.
Look-
Maybe you can afford that for 15 minutes, and you get really mad at each other. But it doesn't matter because it's
make people think.
Yeah, you're just trying
And this
to
is
think
the same thing
about
with
it.
religions.
Think about a
If
new
you-
way
If you believe
that we can.
that you could be resurrected, if you believe in a religion, you try to help other people through your religion. I'm saying to you, we don't have to worry about the afterlife. Life. Help people now. Belief is separate than what's happening now. Now you show government.
Made the point of what. So we're value give, and that is a little either thinking about what we're talking about. You can contribute to the websites in terms of ideas to make this an even better concept.
You got a better idea, do it.
And a way to say it better. I mean, we're always looking for contributions of that type. Time is our most valuable thing, and that's all we're asking is that you either or talk to somebody about it that you know well or don't know well, or it's a lot harder. PayPal button and giving
Made or boy out voting.
This actually
Voting is not going to change anything. It's just it's a placebo.
This actually
Giving you is a placebo when they say go out and vote, you'll change the world. No.
You are bringing that. We certainly don't matter in our economic system, and that's telling us all the time. We matter. That is our government now. Economics is our world government.
Right. And unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening. I want to, Dennis, you have anything you want to get out before the end of the program?
Oh, yes, thank you. I'd like to point out that we have a country who has started this, not to give food or shelter, but at least our country gives free education to grade school and high school, even if parents are unemployed. That child in high school goes to free high school. But what to me it seems dysfunctional is when that child is 18 years old and graduates from high school, college is so expensive that they've been told for years, look, if you can't afford it, then you can just go overseas in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force for 4 years. When you come back, you'll be able to afford
Well,
college.
Dennis, I want to interrupt you because what you're looking at is a concept that is there that people should have education, and I agree with you. The reality is that that's the concept, but the reason why they want to educate people to a certain degree is so they have good workers. It's not really to help people as a matter of fact, they want to keep you as dumbed down as possible. Just watch your local television set. They keep you as dumb as they could possibly keep you. I mean, they would. I mean, I'm watching. I turn on the free TV because we don't have cable. Because I don't get cable is again a terrifying thing. It has just commercials upon commercials. And then I turn on the free TV, which is the digital now. They digitize it for Homeland Security or whatever they call it. And it's just commercials upon commercials. It's almost terrifying to watch it. I mean, maybe some things are interesting. You may find something you want to buy, but the reality is it's really bad stuff. I mean, it's really not good for you. They're dumbing you down. They want everyone to be the first ones to go out to the movie theater and spend the most money they can to get tickets. They want you to go spend thousands of dollars to a football game or Disney World. I mean, this is insane. Just the economic system, you've got to take your hat off to them because it's amazing how they marketed it. People worship items that have brand names. They'll kill for it in some parts of the world. For brand name items that have no value any more than pennies. So this is some of the things we're running into now. But it's a concept that you're talking about. We think we should have free education. We started it, but we really didn't do much other than educate people to a certain degree to get better workers out of them. And now we're charging, and then we never used to charge a lot of money or any money to speak of if you wanted to go to secondary schools. That was part of our system. It worked. It did very well. So you're right. There is a concept there, but the reality is that it wasn't done for the right reasons.
And it wasn't done completely.
Right.
It's done to a point, but it's not done so that people can continue to educate themselves throughout their lifetime without having to have a huge amount of financial resources.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to make, is that when they are 18 years old and ready for college, it doesn't matter what major they want to be. They can do 95% on the internet. They can learn. And then 5% is when the teacher gives the test to show that they are doing that. So actually college can be less expensive than kindergarten.
Well, what we're talking about is basic needs are the least expensive things that we can be working for in terms of cost. It's our wants that are most expensive. It's not our needs. Education should be free. Food and shelter should be without cost, only with the work exchange that we've described.
Anyway, try to promote the HM as best you can. Use your mind to do it.
I hope we've been able to express this so that.
And we'll be back again on Sunday on the front stoop, the longest stoop in the world. We'll talk about again another means of moving this concept forward. Please tune in, get your friends to tune in. The few people who are watching us live, thank you very much. And we'll see you again. We're on YouTube now, so just watch us. Bridges program,
And
YouTube
then
Bridges
there's
program.
also repeats and audio.
Boy, and you'll hear us on TuneIn, iTunes, many formats for it. So please tune in and check us out. Tell your friends about the human renewable energy measurement. Try to get this concept, understand it, do the best you can. Thanks again for listening. This is Jeff Bellows, Susan Coleman, and Dennis Carrier.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Susan.
You're very welcome. Scratch it.